Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Gotta Catch 'Em All from the Otakuology podcast, where we talk all about the Pokemon manga, Pokemon adventures. I'm your fellow trainer slash co-host, Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is Jen. I sharded my pants Graves
Why am I not Trainer Jin?
slash trainer Jen.
All right,
How's it
Streaks.
going?
All right, Streaks. Goodness.
I don't know why that just popped in my head. I just went with it.
What a dick.
Anyways, we are back with another episode. We are focusing on what chapter are we on? Chapter 6.
We're on chapter 6. Gyarados splashes in.
So as we ended our last episode, Red got his Boulder badge.
Well, you know, one thing I think we should point out is both you and I have our own Pokemon at home.
Are you talking about the dog that's
Yeah.
barking in the background?
Talking about the dogs and the cats, okay?
Well, none of my animals are in my room at the moment. So.
Whatever.
Because I locked them out when I podcast. They're in the living room right now.
I wish, but you know, my podcast area is virtually like the room beside them, and there's no door, so
You might need to get a door.
because I'm privileged that mine is out in the open where everybody can see my podcast equipment. Okay.
Well, you know, when you have,
But-
I just lost my fucking page.
But let me point this out to you. It's page 76. Let me point this out to you, though. It's really funny whenever my friends or whatever come over and they go, "Oh, where's your podcast stuff?" And when you walk in through the front door, like if you just look to the back of the 2 rooms back or whatever, you can see all the stuff sitting there on a big table. And everybody's like, "Where's your podcast stuff at?" And then when I walk in here, they go, "Oh, cool." I'm like, how did you fucking not see that? Okay. Like, it's not like I'm hiding anything.
Yes, right now I am podcasting in my room, okay? I don't have a podcast studio to podcast in.
Yeah, podcast studio for the win.
Anyways, guys, where we left off, Red got his Boulder badge and he's on his way to, we don't really know,
But
to be exact.
if we're going off of the games, then obviously he's on like one of the routes going to most likely, is it Cerulean?
I think it's Cerulean, yes.
Or, yeah.
I think it is, yeah. I think it's Cerulean.
I had to think of the song for a second. We're on the road to Cerulean City.
But anyways, we see a young girl who we already know is Misty. We're just going to point it out right now. That's Misty. And she is being attacked by a Gyarados. And you can see she is clearly beaten up, battered, bruised.
Right. And we got to see part of this from the end of the last chapter.
That is true.
Almost as a stay tuned for next time kind of situation. Where we do know that Gyarados is using Hydro Pump and Staryu hopped in to defend her. So
yeah. And Staryu is kind of down for the count at this moment. He was no match for the Gyarados.
Which would you feel like that was really weird since it was a water attack against a water Pokemon?
Yeah, but I mean, even though, like, I'm guessing, like, you know, they're not weak against each other, I'm guessing it still does some sort of damage. It has to.
Right.
You know, it just probably doesn't do as much damage as, say, like, water and fire.
Yeah.
You know,
which this is another thing like that I brought up before that I really like, because a few on the next page over, we do see that instead of using like his quote unquote strongest Pokemon against him, against Gyarados, which would be Pikachu, obviously because Pikachu doesn't listen to him, with Red, and his, I would consider it his first strongest Pokemon, since he is a second evolution, which is Poliwhirl, that he decided to go with good old Bulbasaur. Uh,
Yeah.
and like I pointed out before in one of our earlier episodes, this is actually something that I really like in the Pokemon Adventure
Mm-hmm.
series.
Yeah.
Is it doesn't matter if it's a Pokemon that is like the first evolution against like a
Mm-hmm.
third or second evolution Pokemon,
Yeah.
as long as basically they're not legendary, which isn't always the case either. But it
Yeah.
virtually, as long as it's not a legendary or like a pseudo legendary, then any Pokemon can almost be like an equal match versus another one, which
Yeah.
I really
And
enjoy that part of the manga.
as we see Misty getting beat up by the Gyarados, we see a shadowy figure in the distance,
Is it
and
blue?
no, it's not blue, it's red,
Oh no!
and red is like uh, taking on a pretty big one, aren't you?
Right?
And you see, he's like, "I'll help you," and she's like, "Stay back, it's too dangerous." He's like, "It's okay, I'll be fine." And he whips out his Bulbasaur, and he's like,
Which
"Bulbasaur,
which I
go."
like this part right after she tells him to stay back. He goes, "It's fine," or "I'll be fine. I'm not just any kid."
Yeah, I'm not just any kid. And he's like, "By the way, my name's not you. It's Red."
Man, wouldn't it be really weird if uh Misty was in like Yu Hakusho or something? Well, that's not my entire name, but it's close enough.
That's true. And then she's like, "Oh my god, a Pokemon! Oh, he must be another Pokemon trainer." And I like this scene where she's like, "Watch out, he's gonna use Hydro Pump," and you just get the scale of Gyarados versus Bulbasaur,
Right. Bulbasaur's like
and
as big as Gyarados' like head by itself.
yeah, yeah,
That's it.
he's like the size of a dog. It
Yeah.
looks like.
Woof.
And Gyarados is like huge, and you just see him like they're standing across from each other. He just uses Hydro Pump, and Bulbasaur kind of just shakes it off. He's like, "Ah, that was a nice
Yeah.
shower I just had."
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Bulbasaur's in the shower.
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh wait, water Pokemon don't really affect grass type Pokemon," you
Right.
know, which was pretty funny, and Misty's reaction's really funny to see. Uh,
Which can we point that out too real quick? I feel like that's really a weird thing because and I feel like it's happened like twice already with
uh
a
huh.
couple different characters. But in a world of Pokemon, I feel it really weird that people are shocked whenever you're a Pokemon trainer.
Maybe they're not as common as we're led to believe.
Pokemon trainers aren't as common.
Yeah, maybe. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, I just mean like if you lived in like a colony or whatever, or you know lived
Uh
in a
huh.
place and everybody had a dog in the place, it would be really
Hmm.
weird for somebody to like walk up to you and be like, "Oh, do you have a dog?"
I
Like
mean, maybe she was just expecting him to be just like a normal
yeah,
person. Maybe they're not always like, "Oh yeah, I'm a trainer. I'm a trainer. I'm a trainer." Like they're not all going around knowing everybody's a trainer. Like
right,
I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe that's why she was surprised.
right. Which then we moving on to the next page after the
Uh huh.
whole hydro pump not working on Bulbasaur. I also feel like it's really weird because all of Bulbasaur's attacks we've seen so far all start out with a seed. So
Yeah.
I almost feel like Bulbasaur is like Batman.
Oh, that he has like a utility belt in his
Yeah,
bulb.
like his bulb is their utility belt, so he's like, "Oh, let me throw this little seed out," and then it does something, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, because this time we find out that Bulbasaur uses Leech Seed,
Right?
which I'm not gonna lie, like I always thought like Leech Seed looked very painful
Yeah,
because like the seed like goes into like Gyarados' side in this and like just wraps around him and just sucks the life out of him, you
yeah,
know?
right,
Which I'm like, that just sounds very painful. And it's going is the life going back into Bulbasaur or is it just
yeah.
sucking the life out of him?
Oh yeah, in this instance, I'm not sure. Usually, what it does is it absorbs the life out of you, and it goes to the other Pokemon. But
So would we say that Bulbasaur is like a vampire plant Pokemon?
no, because the other thing is with him, whenever that happens, like off of the video games and everything, if you put leech seed on a Pokemon, it comes off in spores.
Okay.
So unless you swap them out, it comes off, and like if you and I are fighting, and let's say we're in the same scenario, and you swap out from Bulbasaur to Pikachu or Poliwhirl,
Yeah.
then you'll still get life force from swapping your guy. If I swap, then
Yeah.
it goes away, obviously. But
Yeah. And then we get after he attacks Gyarados with Leech Seed, Misty tells Star you, right? Star
yeah, Star
U's the
you.
brown one, right? Star you to
Yes,
recover and heal. And she's like, "Oh yeah, thank." And then she's like holding her Staryu while this big attack's going on. She's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're recovered." I find that so weird that she would have the time to like comfort Staryu while Red is in a battle with a giant Gyarados.
yeah.
I don't
Which
know. It just seems odd.
after that, I really like this part that where Red's sitting there and he's ready to fight Gyarados some more or whatever. And this is his side thought. He goes, "Should we start double dating?"
Where he said should we start double attacking?
Oh, mine says double dating.
What?
Does it really?
Yeah,
It does.
it's a
Should we
it's
start double dating? And
no
it
mine
says we
says
should.
no. See, so you're talking about the one where it's Red and Misty in one panel,
Yeah, and
and
he's
she's
got
like
his
in the
tongue sticking
background.
out. He's got his tongue sticking out
Yeah,
in the corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it says should we start? Mine says should we start double attacking?
No, mine says double dating.
Oh, I wonder if they had made a new translation for the new release.
Must have, because I'm gonna have to send this to you later. Like that's exactly
Oh,
what it says. It throws me off.
all right. I'll have to take a picture of mine and show you.
Oh my god. Oh, you know what we'll
It's
do? This is what we'll do for all you listeners out there or whatever. Stay tuned when this show comes out. We'll release this on the podcast Instagram and let you see the rendition between the box set volume of Pokemon One and of Omnibus Volume One for this panel.
yeah.
That's
Oh
insane.
man. Oh
That's
man.
insane.
But yeah, Bulbasaur and Staryu are ready to fight, and Red uses Vine Whip, and Misty uses Bubble Beam to attack Gyarados.
Yeah.
Which I like this scene. I like the scene a lot. It's really cool. Which I'm curious of it. They make Bulbasaur's Vine Whip look really, really long and like dynamic.
Yeah.
I want to know exactly how far his Vine Whip actually goes. Uh, just,
I
just,
don't know.
just, just the way it looks in this, it looks like it's curling and going like because he's in the foreground.
Yeah.
Uh, but Gyarados gets hit, and Red is like, "All right, time for the Pokeball." He catches the
Gyarados.
Gyarados,
Yeah.
and we find out that this Gyarados is not a wild Gyarados. It's Misty's Gyarados. You know?
Which is weird how he caught Gyarados then.
Yeah. But I mean, later on, he does give it back to Misty.
Yeah, because we do see it in her hand at some point.
Yeah. And so we
Uh,
find out that this Gyarados went missing, right?
yeah,
And
which we find out it's really easy in Pokemon 2. Like your Pokemon doesn't have to stay inside of the same Pokeball, which is
yeah.
good because then like if people wanted to change it up for like a later on a different Pokeball, they could.
hmm So we found out that this Gyarados has gone missing, and Misty has tracked the Gyarados down. And once she's found the Gyarados hasn't been acting right and has been acting very aggressive. I'm
Which
guessing the Gyarados was a lot kinder before.
which do you think that maybe this is one of the Pokemon like that Team Rocket got a hold of, and he like reverted back to acting wild?
It's a possibility. I mean, Team Rocket does come up in this particular volume,
Yeah.
or they're mentioned.
Yeah, well, I
You
mean,
know,
we've already seen them with them in the first chapter, so
yeah.
I I,
And
I just wondered because we really don't have anything that's gearing us towards that in this chapter
yeah,
right now, as far
yeah,
as we've gotten. So I kind of wonder if they are,
yeah. From what I remember, yes. I think Team Rocket does take Gyarados, or did take Gyarados.
because I know we don't see him in this chapter at all. We see him in
But
the
I
following
but I
one.
don't remember why they took Gyarados,
Because they
to be
want all
exact.
the Pokemon. Yeah.
But Misty tells Red that the Gyarados was stolen, like we said before, and Red's like, "Oh man, we gotta go kick these guys' asses," and she's like, Where are these guys located again? Where did you say they were?" And she's like, "I don't know where they are," you know.
Right.
Yeah, I like that scene. He's like, "Oh, well, maybe Professor Oak might know." And I like this little panel where they go to a Pokemon Center, and we just see them on the computer. I don't know
Okay.
why.
I was like, are we on the
I
next
just,
page?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I end up liking this little panel. It just looks. I just like the way it looks. And
Right.
we see Professor Oak and Red talking on the high tech
On
computer
on the PC.
on the PC. You know,
Yeah. I mean, well, if
and
we're looking at the computer, there is a little floppy drive or disk drive on it. So
yeah, it's high tech, right?
yeah, for the time.
Everybody's like, "What's a floppy drive?
Exactly. How do you use that?
How do you use that?"
I've only heard y'all say floppy when it refers to American comics. What does it refer to with computers?
Yeah, and they're Professor Oak is like Red's like he's the leading expert in Pokemon. He's like, "Oh shucks, I'm pretty good." And Professor Oak tells us there are hundreds of different types of Pokemon out there in all different locations, and we get to see the Pokédex again come out. And
Right. Which Gyarados is on it.
Since Red's caught the Pokemon, since he it only registers Pokemon he catches, correct? That's what it says in here.
Where does it say that at?
Uh, shit, it did say that. I think it's on the next page.
I I think so. Because
It
I
says
mean it.
whenever I catch a Pokemon, the data automatically gets inputted. It's after the picture of the Gyarados on the
Oh,
Pokédex.
okay, okay. Yeah, I was trying to
Yeah,
look at the picture, and I was like, wait, where's this at?
yeah. So
It
he
has
he
to be.
technically did technically catch the Gyarados. So I was curious as to, because in the anime he just puts the Pokédex up to a Pokemon and he like scans it, but
Yeah, for Ash.
in this he has to actually
Yeah,
Red has to catch him. So
yeah. Since we're basing off the video games, I guess that's how it's laid out.
it makes things even harder for him to encyclopedia the Pokédex.
Right?
But we end up finding out that this possibly is the the work of Team Rocket. Team Rocket has been experimenting on Pokemon to try to make them stronger in
Yeah.
in their lab, and Professor Oak is like, "Hey, there's something that might be sort of connected to this. Can you guys go to Mount Moon and look for this thing called the Moonstone?"
A moonstone.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Let's see. It says a stone they say that is able to boost the power of a Pokemon enormously. It's likely that Team Rocket is after this stone.
yeah. So Ash, not Ash, Red is all gung ho to go after this stone and get this so-called Team Rocket for what they did to
So
Gyarados.
I wonder how many people have read this and kind of sat back and thought about that because, like, with us that have already had the foreknowledge of it, everything
Hmm.
with a Moonstone, like that you can only use it on like a handful of Pokemon that it does anything to.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird. Like, I wonder if somebody else reading this that's never like known Pokemon too well is sitting there like, oh yeah, Moonstone, that sounds really cool.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I always thought the Moonstone could only be used on like Clefairy.
It can only be used on like Clefairy and I think Jigglypuff.
Okay.
Uh, more of what we know today as like fairy type Pokemon
Yeah. Yeah.
are all the ones that only the Moonstone really works on, or Nidoran, uh, m- well, Nidorino or Nidorina are the
Yeah.
only other ones that I know of that you can actually use it on that aren't fairy based Pokemon.
Yeah. True. But we get this next scene where Ash is. I did it again. Red. Red is
Rash,
like Rash. Where's Rash when we need him?
right? Got a rash on
Red
my ass.
is like,
Whoop.
I gotta go do this. I'm gonna complete my Pokédex. We're gonna get Team Rocket and we're gonna beat their asses, And Misty is like, wait, I'm going with you to Mount Moon, and you're gonna need all the help you can get. And Red's like, wait, what? You're coming with me? Why exactly are you coming with me? What exactly can you do? Like what are you gonna do? And she's like, well, I'm a water trainer. There were a lot of rock type Pokemon in said caves on the mountain. I'm probably like the best thing that's going for you right now, and I'm like the I'm like your secret weapon, kind of.
Yeah,
And we get to see all her Pokemon, which
three
we
of
don't
them.
get to see like you said, we don't get to see the Pokemon in the background of
Yeah,
this, but we did see that Red gives Misty back her Gyarados, which is pretty cool. She
right.
got her Gyarados back.
Which
Red didn't steal it.
why do you think on her Pokeball she has an S?
Um, that I don't know.
Because that's one thing that I was thinking about. Like, it has an S on it, but I'm confused why. I wonder if
Do
the
you think?
Japanese name for Cerulean starts with an S.
Possibly. Or do you
Maybe
think
that's why
maybe
that's
she
on there.
got a? Do you maybe she got like a special Pokeball? Pokeball because she's a gym leader.
Maybe, but I don't remember Brock having special Pokeballs.
Maybe I don't know. That's a good thing to look for later on, or checking
Yeah,
to see.
we'll have
To
to pay attention to part of that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until you said anything about it.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question that I had for you that I told you I was going to ask you before we started the show.
Uh-huh.
So, and this is going off of the anime. So, because I
Uh-huh.
know it's not going to pertain to this too much because they're not they're regular gym leaders in this. They're not Pokemon
Uh-huh.
or the main characters, best friends or whatever. But
Hmm.
so based off of this, you know, Brock is a rock ground type Pokemon trainer,
Yeah.
and Misty is a water type trainer, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Then thinking back on it, with that, how come every Pokemon she's had except for like Togepi have all been water types, but for Brock, he's had multiple different ones. He's had Zubat, he's had Vulpix, he's had a bunch of different ones that actually weren't close to the same genre. Or
Well, if you were excuse me. if you remember,
Put your professor glasses on.
I had to clear my throat a little bit. Hold on, let me push my glasses up. If you remember, I'm just going off of memory off of this, but remember, Brock wanted to be a Pokemon breeder as well,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And he wanted to like make different kinds of Pokemon food and this and that and become a breeder. So I I think I mean, yeah, he got Zubat, but didn't he catch Zubat on accident?
I can't remember.
Or he just had a Zubat. Zubat showed up at one point.
Yeah, they went
Like
through a
he was like,
cave
"Oh, I
and got
caught
him.
it in the cave when we were in a cave or something." And
I think they needed them for some reason. And maybe the reason why the anime gears it towards more randomness with Brock because all rock type Pokemon are kind of, I don't want to offend anybody with it, but I mean all rock type Pokemon kind of fit into the same box. Like
yeah.
there's not more things that they do differently or do
Oh,
extra
I mean,
with.
like he ended up having like Sudowoodo later, right? And what else did he have? And wasn't Sudowoodo kind of a rock type Pokemon, right? It was like a
Yeah.
grass rock type or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And like Vulpix wasn't even his. Vulpix he just was borrowing for the time being, and then eventually he gave Vulpix back, you know.
I don't know if he did or not. I can't
I
remember that.
think he gives Vulpix back. Because we don't see Vulpix ever again.
Stay tuned. Anybody that watches the show, let us know these answers.
I mean, like, probably because they didn't have that many rock type Pokemon at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. He technically only had like three I don't. Did he even have like a Golem? I know he had Onyx. He had Onyx and Geodude, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, and we didn't ever really see a Graveler or anything too like it is in the manga.
I mean, that's interesting. But I don't know. Maybe they just gave him more Pokemon because they thought he needed more Pokemon.
But the other thing that we could point out too is how Brock was with Ash like forever.
But he also gives up his gym leader status to go on the adventure.
That's true. Gives it up to his poppy.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? To be exact, but at the end of this manga, we do get Misty and Red going off to the Mount Moon, and we will get into that later on.
Right. So stay tuned,
What?
guys, for the next the next
What?
episode, the next chapter.
But what did you
For
think of this? What did you think of this?
Ray,
This chapter.
it was good. I liked
Yeah.
how at least in this chapter, like we did find out more things because I feel like from what we already know with the video games, it's not really too much.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't exactly know per se like because as far as we know right now, uh, Bulbasaur with both the first gym leaders that we kind of go through, like Bulbasaur seems like the best choice out of everybody.
Yeah, but at the moment we don't know Misty is a gym leader. You know,
That's true.
we're just going off of what we know from the anime or the video game.
That's true.
And it's interesting to see how he meets Misty in this. It's interesting to see like they kind of just meet by chance,
Right.
and
And
he
it's
gets
not over a bicycle. R.I.P.
and it's not over a bicycle.
Yeah. R.I.P.
R.I.P. bicycle.
R.I.P. bicycle.
Which does he ever give her a new bicycle?
Does Ash ever give Misty a new bicycle?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, that bastard.
I don't know. I can't remember.
That bastard. But yeah, like I enjoyed this volume. I liked the interact. I think I liked the last chapter a little bit more, but I liked this one how it does move the story along.
Yeah.
We're getting more and more layers to the story because it honestly kind of at the beginning, it does feel at the beginning of this manga, it feels like very almost episodic, very monster of the week kind of
Yeah,
aspect, but we're getting little breadcrumbs to a bigger picture
that's true.
down the road when it
That's true.
comes to uh, Team Rocket and what Team Rocket might be exactly doing, and you know,
Yeah. Well, we're also getting the development of characters. So,
yeah,
like with Misty, we now know that Red and her are virtually friends.
yeah,
While with Brock, his relationship with him is more so like, hey, I did all this different stuff and defeated you. So it's more of like
like a respect,
yeah, a respect thing. And then of course
yeah.
we have Blue as the other major player in this, and is just the rival status, you know. Uh,
Who for the moment is off the table for some time.
right, because we don't see him for a little while. So because now we're just sticking with Red and where his story kind of goes and develops. So
Yeah, because I was looking and trying to like I was looking forward because I'm reading this as we're going along, and I was trying to be like, okay, when does Green show up? And I'm like, Green doesn't show up until like several chapters in.
I don't even think she shows up until the next book.
No, she maybe I don't know. I mean, I have the omnibus, so mine's a little different than yours, But
Okay,
okay, she shows up in chapter 15. It looks like,
okay.
and,
We
and
have
Blue
we
shows
have
up back in chapter 14.
we have a mention of her coming in volume 2
Okay,
on this. So um which that is Adventure 15 is the start of book 2.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this one. I liked the interaction between Red and Misty. I thought that was fun. Um, I'm curious how long Misty is going to stay around,
that's true.
and if it's only going to be for like the next couple chapters, and will she come back later on?
Hey, in the back
Uh,
of yours, do you have the Gotta Catch 'em All adventure route map one?
um, it's not in the back of my book. It's in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that and figuring out where we are because it tells us which chapters we're in.
Uh huh.
So we do get to see that they were on Route 3 for chapter 6.
I think it's in the middle. I can't remember. I'll have to flip through my book later and see.
Yeah, it just brings up Pokemon that we see and some other stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just now saw it because I was trying to flip to the back to see the whole green stuff. So
Mine has the Pokemon that Red's gotten so far at the end.
yeah,
In
Red's
my the Route 3
Pokedex
map
thing.
is all the way at the end of my book.
Okay, for Route Map
I
1.
have Route 3 adventure map at the back of my book.
Ooh,
I don't know if I mean I'll have to go through it and see
yeah.
because my book's kind of thick. It's hard to do it with one hand
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
flip through it and look through it.
this one has a breakdown of all the chapters and stuff too, what Pokemon we've seen from it, as well as it tells us where we're at with each chapter. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know I
Chapter
get a couple extra things at the back and throughout the rest of the omnibuses as well.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean this was a fun little read, It wasn't it didn't like blow me away, but I still enjoyed it and I had fun with it.
right, yeah. And I think that's another really enjoyable thing about reading this manga is because you do have those kind of like random things that happen in between chapters, and you're like, oh,
Mhm.
it doesn't seem like that goes with the book in any kind of way, and then it's like, well, it's your path to get from point A to point B, but even those chapters are really enjoyable. So I feel like
Well,
this one sticks out like that.
I'm also going off like the memories of playing the game.
Yeah.
And this does follow the game, but it's taking liberties with it as well.
Right.
So it's also expanding on certain things and aspects to the game, and to the story as a whole. So we're gonna get different interpretations, which I do like.
Right. We're gonna have to pull
Because
out our old red and blue copies of the game to try
I
them
don't
out.
have those. I don't have those anymore.
Oh, you don't
I
have your
only had it.
simulator anymore on your DS?
Oh, I have like Pokemon Crystal.
Oh.
That's it.
Okay.
I
I
don't
thought
have
you
like the
had
other
red.
ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I had Red back in the day when I had the Game Boy, and
Yeah.
then I had Pokemon
Which
Gold, and that
which
was
let's
it.
let's point that out too. It's really weird that we know it for the American games and everything of when it came out as uh, us thinking that Red had Charmander because Red is or the Charizard is what's on the Red game
Yeah,
case, right? And so
yeah,
it's really weird to actually find out that that's not who he picked. You know
yeah,
that Bulbasaur is his first
yeah.
initial guy with it.
True. And I know how I said that we got red and blue and green mixed up.
Yeah,
So it turns out that I was wrong, and originally blue is actually green, and green is actually blue.
yeah, suck it.
So they switched them
Yeah,
in blue. Girl blue, who is green, wasn't even in our game.
right,
They took her out completely,
right,
which I knew that, but I didn't know they switched the names.
right. Well, that's the other weird thing is too is since it's based off the rivals, we got that as well. While there wasn't a red or there wasn't a blue version that actually came out in Japan. So
Yeah, I think they had red and green, and then blue was like a special updated one, I think,
yeah. So I
if I
mean,
remember
I
correctly.
just think it's kind of weird how that's all laid out, which makes you think why uh with this first set of you know of games and whatnot
Yeah.
that we had three first versions,
Yeah. True.
and while with the rest of them we only have two.
Yeah.
So
It's yeah, yeah. It's interesting to think about.
it is.
Yeah.
So
Like there's a whole rabbit hole we could go down with the video games.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So
I mean, they already have those.
check out the YouTube channel and check out the Instagram and other things because we'll be putting out little tidbits for different stuff Pokemon wise for all of you to like and obviously keep following us and just go on our Pokemon journey with us.
Yeah, it's the channel is Gotta Read 'Em All, a Pokemon podcast. That's the name of the channel.
Right.
Or
So,
you can look
hey,
at us at Otakuology as well
right.
for our other YouTube channel.
And so stay tuned because there are things that we can't exactly cover because they're better visually that we can
Yeah.
have on our Instagram and our YouTube channel and all that other nice stuff that we just
You
can't
can
cover for y'all verbally with a
you can
podcast.
find our Instagram at Otakuology. And you can find us on Twitter at Otakuology as well.
Yeah. So, as always, guys, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for listening.
Have a good weekend.